You ready? Okay. Before we start here, everybody remember to silence your phones. You don't have anybody. We'll save the pledge. The pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, let your will be done here today through our actions and decisions. Let I just do this process in orderly go. In Jesus' name we pray. And I did skip a step. We'll call the meeting to order. Thanks, everybody, for attending. Everybody's on in good shape. Okay, well, welcome, everyone, and a nice cold morning. And the first thing on our agenda at 8:10 here is public comment. So anyone want to go first?
Mr. Commissioners, my name is Jim Patton. I previously served here for 28 years as a district judge, and I was the chief judge over 20 years. I'm here to speak in favor of retaining. Pushing at the door. We had a couple of incidents, and I was going to bring mine the night that we took off somebody in one of our hearings, but I didn't think I could get through the magnometer, so I left it. It was a switchblade. It could have done some serious damage if certain people hadn't been paying attention. We deal in the court system. We deal with different types of people, but as I saw in my 50 years of practice, the kind of person, the kind of attitude that has been happening has evolved into, I'm never involved with you. And with that kind of attitude comes some violence. The rhetoric in the United States, the rhetoric in the state, everywhere else is, I hate you, you hate me, come up with bad names. It isn't a circumstance where they're happy. It's a circumstance where they're looking for some reason to be mad. And in this place, the courthouse in particular, we have all kinds of reasons for people to strike out. We have court services on the first floor, which deals with felonies of significant problems, and a lot of times they're not happy. You have second floor, you have two things. You have offices that take in money, and you have offices that contain records that if somebody wanted to destroy or affect, could easily do that without some type of protection. Those people don't have protection. You don't let them have weapons. So the only thing that really is worthwhile is having some type of protection, or at least attempting to protect the individuals here and the patrons who come in the same way. If you look at all the shootings that have been occurring around the nation, it's innocent people. It's not somebody who had a grudge against the shooter or the shooter against the person. It's just random violence. And that's what this job is for, is to protect that random violence and the thought of trying to do that. It is a preventative measure. And so I urge you to keep this where it is. And I take questions if you have.
So how long has the court personnel been down here?
The court?
No, the person, court services.
Court services.
Yeah,
I'm guessing 20 years. I don't. They were there when I came on the bench in '95.
well, I remember way back the school superintendent was supposed to, in one of those offices over there.
Well, the draft board is in a small courtroom, but
Right,
that's 70 or 50 years ago.
right. But so it's not always been that way. So where were they at that time?
I cannot speak to that. I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't answer the question because I don't know. I'm presuming that they were here somewhere. But the commissioners have altered the building many times to facilitate a different thing. That office there, houses not only for the services, fellow misdemeanors, but it also houses from time to time, state parole officers. So you can understand the nature of who you're dealing with on the first floor. And the county attorney's office, I hate to say this, but he makes a lot of enemies. People who are not happy with anything that goes on. And so his office is on the first floor. There are certainly things to protect you. I urge you to do so. Thank you.
Well, thanks for,
Question.
you have a question for him?
No, I
No. Well, thanks for coming in.
May I leave?
Sure.
I'm missing my cardio rehab.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next,
I'm gonna come up here and sit down, if that's all right.
state your name.
My name is Chris Kroll with 737-228 Fairview. I'm here, to give you a polar opposite look at, the security here in the courthouse. I've never believed that, government should be in charge of much, let alone my own personal security. A lot of the points that Mr. Patton brings up, while they're valid, can be eliminated with a good guy with a gun. That's the whole reason he wants security here, is for the good guy with the gun. The more good guys, the more safe we are. And I assume all of us came here this morning through the same metal detection security system that I came through, correct? Raise your hand if you did not. Reluctantly so. People were honest, thank you. I noticed a lot of people coming in around it. In the back door, the employees are afforded not the same courtesy that the general public that has gone through training. I'm a concealed carry permit holder, required by the state to be certified and trained and paid for that right. Nobody's ever heard of a disgruntled worker, I believe. Those happen all the time, just the same as disgruntled anyone. I've noticed when I've been here in the past, the post office, they have no trouble getting in with their big old bag. Who knows what they could have brought in this morning. Me coming in, I could have had a 3D printed gun in my waistband. Never would have known it. Had a coffee cup full of ammunition. Never would have found it. How good's your security? It's not. I can guarantee you, I know for a fact, it is weak, both here and at the city. It's nothing that's gonna stop what you're thinking it's gonna stop. It's gonna stop an honest criminal. Oxymoron, if I've ever heard one. Nobody's an honest criminal. There's also, the sheriff and I just went out and we had a nice little visit on a training issue. Training needs to be better. Personally, I was in here probably a year ago. That deputy is no longer here. I believe he retired. I was threatened with arrest for bringing a gun into the courthouse. He told me the boxes that work out here, they're intended to leave your weapon at the door. You can bring a gun in. He did not know that, or he didn't care. He wasn't educated. But he threatened me with arrest. And the only reason we kept the city or the county from a lawsuit from that fact is I thought in the back of my head, I've got kids I've got to get home to. Otherwise, I'd love to go to jail with for wrongful imprisonment. The courthouse, yeah, they make a lot of enemies. Who doesn't make a lot of enemies? Do any of the judges carry? I'm not going to point that out, but we know there are judges that carry. No problem with that, right? But me, that's a problem. What else do I have here? Comment was made in the last meeting you guys had, I believe I read it in the paper about regarding liability, that if someone came in with a weapon and wreaked havoc. What about the liability of one of you that didn't have to go through that same security that everybody's so worried about liability. How did the other counties get around the liability?
There's very few out of 105 counties that actually have security and disarm the people in their own home. This is our home, by the way. This is what we pay for. And we're paying to have elects infringed. Also had another experience when I came in here. And was forced to disarm. And the lockbox broke. Took an hour to get somebody over here. I was about ready to go home, get a drill and drill out the lock and come back and have it done in time before maintenance to get over here and fix the lock. Same lock boxes that I was told that's not their purpose. And they've never been used for that purpose and they don't work. Let's see what else we have. This isn't the first time I've been here to talk about this. I hope it's the last. If the court wants it, let the court have it for the court. Paid for by the court, figured out by the court, and the board. That's fine. You know, having a knife being found one time years ago, not uncommon. Anyway, I'm open to questions. You guys have any? Thank you.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks
Very much. Okay. Anybody else? Public comment? No? Okay, is there county personnel? Hi.
Hi.
Are you here for a public comment?
No.
Oh. Okay, sorry.
I need to show Kevin something. Yeah, we're fighting this.
Um, here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah.
That's what I think I'll do. That way.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Chris, in my view, I don't understand.
Would you introduce yourself so everybody knows who's talking?
I work part-time here. In security. So far, see where you can serve them. We have employees. I haven't seen you any of the time. I don't have to. So, but if you haven't talked to you for 2 months, once you get there, down the road, and I think you should talk about it because we work this doors. We know exactly the problem is. Yeah, I've been here 28 years with ambulance service. I know the families, I know that. And maybe the first time that business class, I'm researching. But we have a lot of time. And I wouldn't want to go any further until we talk to you too long.
Sure. No, that's a great idea.
We talk to everybody. Because we hear more. What we hear a 50-50 view, but we don't.
Sure.
So, and some of the other things that I think we should get together with.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Regal? Yeah, thanks for commenting and I hope, I think I said this last meeting that government's known for moving kind of laboriously slow, and this is a process. So what's your suggestion is noted, and then, we'll come talk to you. All right. Time 8:24. Do we have anything we can squeeze in while sheriff's outside?
Go ahead and do our minutes of payroll.
Okay. Okay.
She said.
You're coming to listen? All right. Well, a lot of people are still coming in. It's a busy meeting. Welcome, everybody, if I hadn't done that already.
What'd you say, Nellie?
He's the board of this security flag. Depending on it, you know,
Okay.
miss out. We miss out on a lot, I'm not knowing what's going on down here.
Okay, well, I guess we'll just tell you on record here, come on down and then everybody, if you have time in your schedule, and pass the word. That's why we're here. It'd be nice to get some more county departments down in here if they can, find the time. So,
It's not easy, but yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
all right. Okay, well, we'll move on down. Sheriff Merchant was here to speak. He is outside busy, so we'll
You want me to get it?
he'll come in when he's ready. So what I'm looking at is 8:26. We'll go to our minutes from the last meeting. Getting there. Does anyone have any questions, comments about the minutes from the January 21st meeting?
Yes, I do. On the courthouse security thing, it says, on the second line, how current procedure came to be through constitutional process. I'm not sure. I guess of its constitutional process, but the Constitution wasn't changed to allow to take that right away from us. So maybe it's all right. The way I read it last night was like the Constitution had changed, but I guess that's not exactly what it says, but
Do you have a suggested change then, Mr. Paul?
not, just, you could just leave that part out, but
So I look at the minutes too, and I read this, and we had a fairly lengthy, what I'd hoped was an informational discussion about, where this came from, its origins, its practicality, its effectiveness. I made some points that I guess, and I'm not sure how much detail we want in the minutes. I mean, I would suffice to say all these people came. We had a discussion about current courthouse security procedures. Again, discussed its origins and effectiveness. All sides presented and really no action was taken. And I guess I would suggest that as a change, try to leave out some of the details or we need to be more detailed. Some of the points I made, I would like to kind of have in our minutes weren't reflected. So,
The only motion is so. I need some more people to figure out the system.
could you, I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Usually was motion action taken
Uh-huh.
minutes.
Uh-huh.
So now we're going to tell everything happening.
Well, what I'm saying is either we tell everything that happened or we tell nothing. Well, it would be my suggestion then if we, and you're saying now we just want to report motions?
But usually. On that record, motion.
Well, Mr. Hill, I guess, could I ask you that question?
Well, I think on the constitutional process, that's something that the sheriff, stated. And so, I mean, I think the way it reads is say the president to discuss security, and then that's something he said, so. And then the survey results were presented. And then it mentions, so I'm not understanding I think what you're saying, both sides are, but I'm not understanding that part because it does mention what Commissioner Pollock mentioned, because I don't think anyone's saying get rid of security because the sheriff has the. I know we had speaker, when speakers present to you all from the public, they're supposed to present to you all and not ask questions or everybody here. So that's why when you say, well, thanks for honesty, those who did it. I don't know, we might get into a situation where we're having members of the public come in and then everybody here is required to respond to that person speaking from the public. Sure, that's what the agenda is all about. And I think we need to, I think it's important that people that want to specifically address an issue, get on the agenda or kind of circumvent the purpose of the agenda. It's a good notice, everybody so that they're prepared for the different topics that are coming up. On this side, I mean, the minutes are showing the survey, the people that spoke, and then Commissioner Paul's statements, and that's, That's what I recall the discussion being, so it depends, I mean, but you all, as far as how email or not what you want the minutes to be.
Well, to my point, just to clarify, it's that to read this well, like Mr. Pollock says he'd like to have security officer roaming around the building. Then is that too much detail? Because I compared it, our security to schools. Or Judge Weingart, it made the paper that Judge Weingart mentioned that there may be a civil liability to commissioners if things are changed. So what I'm suggesting, I guess, if we need to go to a more basic structure, to keep our minutes from being, or just to keep our minutes more accurate and more relevant, I would be open to that. But they are a good way of recording notes for what we discussed here, so that's a little bit of the confusion. You got any opinion?
It's been this structure since I've come on.
Okay.
It's just been very, the motions and everything were recorded and other comments were just very kept.
So this section under courthouse security, I mean, do you read it and you think adequate, or do you think it needs some changes, or?
I mean, there was a lot said that day. If it was recorded, everything that was said, but it could be 2 pages long.
But I think about those things, like a court reporter has basically. Like that. You should be able to write it and keep studying, and type it up, accurately go. Have to watch the meeting by time, to make sure it's on time.
Okay, well, what I'm after is apparently something different, and does anyone else have anything you'd like to add to the minutes or additions or corrections?
I'll just see if there's, I haven't heard a motion.
Right.
Outside.
Right.
I have to see if there's a motion, but
As it stands, the minutes are just as presented. Does anyone have anything to say otherwise? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve them.
I move it to 121, 25.
There's a second?
Since it says constitutional process, not the constitution changing, I will second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Same sign. All right, motion carried. Minutes are approved. Sheriff Merchant, you're here.
We got 8:30.
Oh, well, Sheriff Merchant, we have any, do we need anything from the sheriff while he's here?
You have something to bring up?
Yeah, right on, yeah. No, and we're glad you did, and sorry we ran out of time. Okay, all right, thank you very much, thank you. Okay, in the interest of time here, we're moving on to, we have an 8:30 with Hepid.
I'm
Hi.
Kayla. I don't think I've met you yet.
Lucas, good to meet you.
Good to meet you. Thank you for taking the time today. The reason I'm here is because Brown County participates in a program called the Rural Opportunity Zone, which is through the state of Kansas Department of Commerce. The Rural Opportunity Zone, if you're not familiar with it, is an incentive essentially for rural counties in Kansas to recruit college graduates to the area to live. So the way the program works is it is a reimbursement for student loan payments for individuals who reside in Brown County. And so they apply through the state. If approved, they receive $1,500 from HEPID. We sponsor the program for the county. So the county actually pays $0. But HEPID pays $1,500 per year per applicant up to $6,000. The state matches that money 100%. So it's all in all a total of up to $15,000 per awardee that they receive to put toward their student loans. If they move out of the county, then they negate the program and are no longer a participant. It is something that only rural counties can participate. So metropolitan counties are not eligible. Statewide, it's almost 100% participation. Last year, there were 2 counties who did not participate. The remainder of them all did. And so that's why I'm here today, because every year, if we continue to participate, we need to send a resolution, a past resolution to the state to have on record. And essentially by participating for Brown County, what it means is you allow HEFED to serve as the sponsor for the program and to contribute to that. We have a $6,000 budget for that, so that allows for recipients of the program annually over 5 years. In addition to us sponsoring the program, employers are also eligible to use it as a recruiting tool. So any employer can also serve as a sponsor. However, if there is no resolution passed, the employers are not able to utilize it either. So that's what I'm here for, is to present resolution that's been provided us by the state for essentially renewal for 2025. And I have a copy of it, one for each of you, so you can look it over.
I think on this one, the statute, 74-52-23, requires, the county to pay the shares, the outstanding balance, and so because HEFED is sponsoring that, I think my recollection, we modified section 7 to set that out, and so that's why it has that $0.
Right.
So,
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, so if it has it in its budget, this is just a formality. so you can
Correct.
do it. Okay, everyone familiar with what?
I have one question.
Go ahead. Mr. Paul.
It's up there.
this,
The bottom of it.
oh,
That's the one that's got the resolution.
Does, if a person from the county goes to college and comes back to the county, are they eligible for this program?
they are now. It used to not be the case, but they are now. They've changed that in the last year.
Like, that was one thought.
Yes.
Are you targeting certain professions or is it?
No, it's just they have to be from an accredited university, need to be able to prove their degree. But essentially, it's just to grow the county and recruit professionals back to our area.
Is there an application process there?
There is the application that's all online through Kansas Department of Commerce. They vet the application, so we don't receive them until the state green lights them, and then we administer the program for those.
Okay,
who
is
are-
it first come, first served? Is that?
Essentially, yeah.
Essentially? Okay, all right.
Oh, one,
Sure.
one more question.
Mhm.
If it's open to everybody, how do you differentiate between, you only limit to 4 people?
Mhm.
How do you choose which board?
It's essentially first come, first served, so it's by order of application in the system. I mean, we'd love to sponsor more than 4, but that is what our budget allows, so that is it. Good.
Do you have a lot of applicants?
We do, yeah, there is a wait list every year for it. People are definitely aware of it. We get calls, several calls every year to ask if we participate in the program, emails to participate, and then several are on the wait list. There are counties around us that contribute much more than we do, and people are aware of that. And so we get that question a lot, why can't we contribute more? But we're just, we're in a unique position where Brown County, we are the ones that sponsor it, and, given our budget, we just do what we are able to, so.
Do you determine the $1,500? Is that a HEFED?
No, that's a state,
That's the minimum that you
yes.
can do?
Well,
Okay.
it's the maximum you
That's
can
the
do.
maximum.
Yeah,
statutory.
That's the maximum.
yeah,
And so I would assume other counties are doing the maximum. My question being,
yes.
what if you took it to 1,000 and got, could you get more, actually pay more people? You pay them less dollars, but does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. I don't know the answer to that question. I guess hasn't ever been presented to us. I'll just have to. look into
Typically, a
that
lot of the
for sure.
programs I'm involved with, it's hard to get applicants. Sounds like you're getting more.
Yeah, I would not say it's hard to get applicants
I
for
wonder
us,
if a
no.
person could take that same amount of money and just spread it around, be a little thinner, but more
Mhm.
people could be involved.
Yeah,
Just a consideration.
yeah, I'll need to look into that.
Any more questions? Okay, so we have this in front of us, resolution number 2025-06 for the rural opportunity zone. To participate in that as a county, is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve the resolution 2025-06.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve this resolution. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming in
Yeah.
very much. Okay, it's 8:40. Let's, we have time to go through payroll, get it done? Okay, we'll move on to payroll, which is item number 2 on the agenda. Is there any discussion on payroll or any motions?
No. I had a couple of questions.
Okay,
Seemed like there was a couple places where people assumed it was working a holiday, but they like 8 hours, but they were only paid $8 or something. Can you explain that? That was like on page 8 was one example.
so your question is on the hourly rate?
Yeah,
That based off the hours she did. Work or that's just the work. That's her time and a half rate. Yeah.
might check and make sure that was accurate on it.
Any more questions?
And then it was kind of like a. On page 10, there was a question or two, but it was kind of a similar question. Okay. Anyway,
If they get the time and operate, they don't get the 8 hours plus holiday pay. Because they're not full time. So they get the time, they get the holiday rate, the time, they get the time and a half, but they don't get the holiday pay and the time and a half. I think it's where we see the difference. That makes sense to you. This is just on the part-time people. I think. Yeah.
anyway, it's like surely it was.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, any more questions on payroll? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve the payroll for 1/22 of 2025.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve 122 payroll. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. All right, moving on, 8:44. Are we all here for solid waste? Okay. Come on up.
Yeah, after going everything over the bids that came in, Richie and I went through it, and we would like to do away with what's taken place so far and propose that we put a new building, a 30 by 40, right against the one that's there to the south, with the 40-foot dimension going north and south. And that would have the 3 offices in it and the bay that's insulated for the noxious weed chemical storage. And we would not touch the existing building except to put an overhead door in the north end of the bay that's there now, because when we put the building up, you cannot access the overhead door on the south side. I think that'll save us some money by doing that, and we will have offices that are brand new and in good shape above grade level.
This would save money.
I believe that it would. We'd have to get bids to make sure that it would, but I believe it would. And then we're not trying to refurbish that old building that's out there.
So you're going to tear down the whole building or?
No, we want to keep that for a workshop, because we really need some place where we can work on equipment. And it's good enough that it can sit there and will still stand for several years. We just, the only work we need to do to it is to put an overhead door in, because we're blocking the ones to the south that's there now.
You put in your new building, it goes,
To the south of what's there.
okay, it goes, the long distance goes north and south,
Yes,
so it's getting closer to the road,
yes,
but still from the scale.
yes, still in front of scale.
So this bottom line, I would do this decision because we think we can save money on this, because we want to try to get our costs lowered, or?
I believe that it's going to lower our cost, and I do not like the idea of trying to go in and fix up that old building. I think it's in too bad a shape to try to put a stem wall underneath, a curb underneath the exterior walls and stuff. I think we'd be better off just leaving that the way it is, let it leak, because of the shop area, we don't care about that, it can leak. And get a new one that's above grade the way it should be.
You know, Bob, you're here, when you understand what we're talking here.
You're talking about in a 30 by 40 or 40 by 40, directly to the south, looking at.
30 by 40, correct?
That'll be
You have everything. Your offices and scale house, everything in that building.
Yes.
How simple it is. The issue. I don't know what. My thought process, being in the building trade is we build the same sidewall height. How would we tie that roof in? We won't, we're not gonna connect. You're not gonna connect, it's gonna be a separate building altogether.
There'll be minimum space between.
Okay.
But not connected.
Okay, not correct. I believe the county could probably save some money. Put up a new structure versus adding on to the existing structure and remodeling what you have.
I just want to make sure you understood, because you did put a bid in, so what it is that we're talking about. Okay. So in essence, we would be rejecting the bids we had and putting out new set of specs.
Correct.
And that's, is that okay, Kevin, for us to reject bids and then?
You can either resubmit an RFP based off their qualifications or something in mind.
Yeah, I think so.
Or start over.
Yeah, so it's a.
I'd start over.
Request with the new specs, yeah. I think you can reject on based on.
And you laid it out, you know it's gonna fit. This is what you want, it's better than the original plan, because it should save the county some money, should be designed and built, I mean, what I'm
Right,
saying is.
we're going to
long-term-
have a new product versus one new and old mixed together, tied together.
How close will the buildings be? Space is a limiting.
I think we need to talk to contractors and see if, I would like to see it be minimal,
Mhm.
not even room to walk between them. Because stuff's gonna build up in there. I wanna keep them as close as we can.
The existing roll-up door, does it stay or does it get?
I think if we leave it there, it doesn't cost us anything to
Okay.
leave it. But the new building is going to overlap that door. So it's not going to have the whole width. It'll still open and you can use it, maybe get a pickup in, but not a truck.
Okay.
With mirrors.
Okay.
So I would leave that there and just put a new overhead door to the north end of that.
Okay.
And I think that's gonna save us the most money.
My problem with the whole issue is the landfill is under one tax system, noxious weed has a levy of its own, right? And so how do you mix the two and keep it fair and keep it? See what I mean? But so. But the noxious weed pays, are they're paying half or more? How do you justify taxing the public for the landfill part of it? I mean, that's the question. I don't know how the auditors handle that, or to me, it looks like the landfill ought to at least have funds to pay a good portion of it.
I see what you're asking, yep.
I understand what you're asking, but I also know that the noxious weed to save their dollars in the building. I mean, they're in the same office, so they work out of the exact same building. I mean, I guess one of those things that, see, the noxious weed and the landfill are working together to get this accomplished or not. And this is my money or that money, it's the county's money, and it's for the best, what's the best for the county.
Well, it's a taxpayer's money. Yeah, and the big one, because the taxpayers pay for the service of the landfill. I mean, individually, the ones that use it pay for it. Not everybody uses it, not everybody pays for it. So, but everybody is taxed for the noxious weed. So, to me, like, that's something that we should plan in the future, so we have those funds in both departments available.
So kind of what you're saying is if half the building is for noxious weeds, they should pay for half of it, landfill pay for the other half,
Something like that.
to make it fair. I understand what you're saying.
I did take a tour of the landfill last week and walked around just to get familiar with the facilities. I would concur that the building is in extremely poor repair. Kind of have an idea in my head of what they're thinking. There seems to be a team atmosphere up here, which is what we're going for between the noxious weed and the landfill. There are some technicalities on, how it's getting paid for, but they need a better structure. There needs to be a better set of offices out there, a better building. And if you put a lot of time and effort into what you need, and sometimes we need to get an idea, go through the process, and then you say, well, that's really not what we wanted, so we'll start over. And that's kind of sounds like where we are. The process being, I guess we would reject every bid for the previous project and determine that we would like to go ahead and submit another
Specs or
Right.
HE.
yeah, to let out for bid.
And we're not ready to do that yet.
Okay.
To do the specs yet. We're working.
Okay. All right.
So have you thought more about raising your fees so you have for that?
I kind of felt like I got opposition on how much I raised them this time. If we need to raise them more, I'll sure look into that.
How do the Brown County landfill fees compare with neighboring?
It's really hard to compare to others because some counties will not allow any out of county trash. Right, and then others are done by volume versus weight. And you've got to look at all that stuff and compare it. I believe that we are cheaper to get rid of trash because we have contractors that bring it from distances to get rid of it.
Okay.
I can always look at raising it more.
Okay.
If need be.
Okay, first thing, I guess we entertain a motion to reject the bids from the first round of proposals, I guess, for the landfill building.
Is that what we need, the motion to reject those?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I believe we do reject the bids that came in for the landfill.
Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion carried. Then we'll have a motion to go ahead and allow the landfill and noxious weed departments to come up with a spec sheet for a new building, a new design, new idea.
Thank you, Bob, for understanding what they're trying to do.
Yeah, you put a lot of time into that.
Will we need a motion just to review?
Yeah.
I think they need to come up with the spec sheet, then we approve it.
but they have.
You could have board consensus was to have them work up a spec sheet if that's a consensus of the board.
Is that the consensus of the board? They haven't worked up a new spec sheet?
Not really till they have the funding to do it.
You might want to have motion.
I mean,
If the motion.
you could have a spec sheet, but I don't think we should go too far with it until.
Yeah, this would just be a motion, directing, solid waste, work out the spec sheet.
As part of that spec sheet, Mr. Pounds, could you determine where the finances are gonna come from?
Sure.
Okay, it could be part of that.
I don't think that should be part of the spec sheet
No.
because, but I can present that with the
Information.
package.
Information for us, yeah. Okay, well, is there, go ahead.
I make a motion to remove forward to especially.
All right, is there a second?
With the, what you just, with the, including the funding and with it or not? But did your motion include the part about including the funding in the spec sheet?
Well, just to make the spec sheet, he's gonna provide the funding stuff separate from that. It was not gonna be one and the same.
But it can be at the same time.
I'll second it. That's fine. It's been moved and seconded to go ahead and have Mr. Pounds look up the spec sheet and look at the funding also and present that to us as information at a later date. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. I've got two more things. Are we ready to move on to something else?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, the snowstorm on January 6th, the state declared a state disaster. And FEMA is constantly changing the rules and everything, especially with the new administration coming in the federal government. Snow removal has never been allowed in the past, and they've decided if it's record or near record, which means within 10% of a record snowfall for the entire year in history, 2 days, that they will do snow removal costs. And they've never done that before. So part of that process, Thursday, I was notified that Brown County qualified. That it was not until Friday late that they finally confirmed that snow removal would be allowed. So part of that is we have to have a local declaration. And I sent this to Kevin and he's approved it, so we need a local declaration, even though it's past the disaster itself.
Okay, did everybody see that in your email? Or have a chance to read it? Would you like to read that?
So that will allow you to talk to all the entities and see if we have enough money for the county to.
I have already, Friday, I contacted all the entities and told them, I need your hours and I need your equipment rates. And I provided with FEMA's equipment schedule for hours. So they've all been contacted and I have to have mine in by February 4th. So I'm under a lot of pressure to get them to get that stuff to me. So it's already in the process.
Yeah, there's a minimum dollar amount to qualify, right?
The state, I don't know what it is, but the state has to meet a threshold and each county has to, and only 5 counties qualified for the state. Brown County has to have 44,700, something like that.
Okay.
And we will not have a problem meeting that if everybody gets their stuff.
Okay, and if that threshold is met, we're reimbursed for,
Okay, if it's all approved,
it's all,
you know, we have to meet our threshold, the state has to meet theirs,
okay,
and then they apply to the federal government. And then if the federal government approves it,
okay.
then we get it.
And if
So-
that's all approved and it works through, then every entity that submitted a bill essentially gets reimbursed for that amount.
Correct.
Okay, okay. And,
Don sent this yesterday to Nikki and I, and so I made just a few revisions to it. And he's confirmed if there's any questions. It's dated today, but can be retroactive to the events that happened earlier in the month, so.
After this, I reached out to you from the beginning of it and asked if there's anything we could do. At that time, we couldn't do any snow removal until the state made a change.
Right.
well, and even Thursday, yeah, it was just for picking up tree branches and down power lines, but they did change that out. So that's good. Is there a motion then to approve this disaster emergency proclamation for Brown County for the period of January 4th through the 6th?
What's the resolution?
You know, I just. I think
No, Nick
it's just a
will now
proclamation
sign
for a local disaster emergency.
07.
7.
I move we first approve the emergency resolution disaster that proclamation for 2025-07.
Is there a second?
That's what I think.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Okay,
Thank
the next item I've got is, I'm working on a wildfire grant. Nemaha County approached me and said that there's this wildfire grant that's available. And it would benefit both counties if we applied together. And, they have unique hazards there and we do here. And individually, we do not qualify, but if we mix together, we do. So that's why I'm going into it with them. There's a 10% match the first year, but the Kansas Forest Service pays that 10%. So it will not cost anything for here for the first year. After that, the county has to put so much money towards that every year, and I do not know what that amount is. And I have a meeting at 5 o'clock tonight to find out the details and what it is, but the application is due, I think, a week from now. So it's another real rush thing, but I just want to let you know that I'm looking into that, and I'll get that back to you as soon as I can. I know that continued cost is going to be important to you. And it's mitigation, prepare for what wildfires do. That means they will come in and do a study. Here's the danger areas you have. If it's a wooded area that needs to be thinned down or the grass cut, something like that, that's what they want to identify and figure out how we're going to mitigate that so it's not a wildfire. And if we need to equip departments and stuff, that's another part of it. So I will learn more tonight. I just wanted to let you know that I'm doing that.
Okay,
Upstairs, I don't think there's anything else I saw. So, all right, see you all.
thank you.
So does that mean? So how does that affect private property? Like if your timber is too thick or whatever? Are you going?
I don't know. I will find out tonight more about it. I know we had to put in that form. I saw one area is how much of Brown County is private property. They want to know that percentage. And what I'm guessing is they're gonna look at it and go, it would be a good idea to do this. If you don't find, it's brought to your attention. Because private people do not want their homes and buildings burning either, but they'd probably like to know if I did this, it would make them safer.
Right, so it's kind of goes back to what's public's responsibility and what's government's responsibility. So anyway.
So you'll have more information about this grant program and what it entails, because if I understand correctly, you're working with Nemaha County with this, and the Forest Service will be involved.
Yes.
Right?
They're the ones sponsoring.
And they're trying to determine, the potential for a wildfire here and mitigation.
Yes,
But does that lead into equipment for volunteer fire?
I don't know.
You're gonna
what
find
all the
that.
grants,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
It's
sorry.
gonna be-
You said that. Okay. Do you
And
need,
that's,
do we need to give them all approval to continue that, or that's just information?
No, just information. I'll bring it to you
Okay,
before I
perfect.
actually do anything.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Jackson County asked about the, how it is, it's going.
Okay, I need to contact the state and see if we are required to do that household hazardous waste, because it's very expensive. And I cannot make a profit out there at the landfill if I'm required to do the hazardous waste. So, yeah.
And then we want to.
Yeah, my part-time scale operator has turned in a resignation. She's having a new grandbaby coming and wants to stay home and take care of that. So completely understandable. So with Heather being the only one that works in the office full-time and no part-time now, she's going to be going to Noxious Weed in spring when spring gets here. So I've got to have that part-time person replaced. So I need to advertise, and I would like that the way it was with the I think it was 2 days, 1 week and 3 the next, and that would make it capers person. Right,
And this won't affect your budget, it's just a
No.
change of
Yes.
person. Thanks for getting us up to date.
thank you.
All right. Thanks for coming in, yeah. Enjoy the rest of the day. Are you headed out too? Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
Smile, Jim.
I am. He can't help it. He's always smiling.
Always fine.
Okay, all right. As I go down the agenda, it looks like number 3 was background checks and it said informational. Any questions on that or any more discussion?
Seen on there, that information came from. I've seen a lot. Big one provided.
Yeah.
Okay. I just know it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
As I read the background check information, it said that, I mean, they're not retroactive. It would be for any new hire, is how I understood.
Right. That's what I understood too.
Anyone have any discussion on that or any more discussion?
Just gonna read these more. I'll probably have some questions to ask, like of Kevin, you know, and.
Okay.
Things along that line, if we was to put anything in place, but like I said, it's from here forward, and go backwards.
Pretty extensive, or pretty full of liabilities or whatever.
I did think it was a good idea. I mean, it talked about how, and it's not just like violent criminals. If someone's ever been convicted of fraud or embezzlement or something and they're working with money, it'd be a good idea. I think that the county should know that as an employer. But that's, yeah, we'll have more discussion on that. So we can just move on. The microloan, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then, excuse me, moving on to number 4, it says microloan closeout. Okay, and this is addressed to the Honorable William Pollock.
That means they're a year or two behind.
Yeah,
But that's all. So,
it's just a revolving loan that we had available there, but it's no longer
okay,
available.
And the state's closing the program.
okay, all right. So this is just an acknowledgement that that's happening. So we're all informed. And I assume this goes to wherever it needs to go, so everybody finds out about it.
So that's. Clerk take care of that, this one, or so there's nothing new to do.
Okay, all right.
So it says that you had a packet, did that come?
We were housing the account here, but that would have been BJ who did all of that, so if she got a packet, like close it out, she's probably.
Okay, went to her office.
Okay, check that off the list. We had from. I'm gonna go back to the minutes to the discussion here from the last meeting on different topics. No motions made. That was the background checks. Did we find, this is involving Deloitte Group, the consultant we are considering hiring to help with the budget. We were going to inquire if any department heads would be willing to contribute. Did anything happen there? Okay,
And the only response I had was the sheriff department would be willing to help with into the budget, if they would be willing. That's one of the biggest budgets. Wants to be able to fine tune his as much as he can to say it's one of our bigger budgets, so.
all right,
That reached out to me and asked a question.
okay. There was interest, if I recall last week, amongst department heads for the education piece of it, willing to learn. But, okay, so now we need to figure out, I've actually asked a lot of questions and spoke with Mr. Lloyd, and I asked around. I talked to a commissioner from Jackson County who used him. Really gave him high marks, said not perfect, you know, but he was very, very helpful. The common theme amongst every county commissioner that I've spoken with is is funding, is money and how they're trying to make do with less, but everything costs more. I guess what I'm doing, I'm a proponent for hiring him, understanding that it's very expensive. However, the county handles a lot of money, and I believe this man could help, and this company could help us over and above what it costs to engage his service.
I don't disagree.
So we need to figure out as a commission, how, if we retain him, where does the funding come from? And much like our landfill discussion with building, you know, we need to get a handle on our finances and how we're gonna do. So can anyone speak to where that funding will come from? And if we do take it out of a certain fund, how much we have left there? And, you know, if they're comfortable with the way all that works.
I think we're limited on the funds where we can take it from, but we also have the ability to get people have had their capital improvements sitting there for years and never used it. We have the ability to move money there too. Sure. So, I mean, there's a large sum that's sitting in somebody's capital improvement and they don't have a plan to tell us how they're gonna use it in the next 3 years. I mean, we can look at those things, but I know we have some capital improvement ourselves, but I think that right now, I think it should come from our commissioner's budget. Transfer in that amount from out of our capital improvement to cover it later if we need to, but I think it's.
There's just a thought, I don't know if it's a good thought or not, but could we, spread that over each department, depending on the amount of their budget compared to the total amount? I mean, or to the.
The hard part right now about asking anybody to come in with the budgets is the budget's already set. So anything that they pay extra out of their budget is gonna affect them at the end of the year because it's for not fun.
Right.
That's the hard part.
That's what I said about the cost of living rates.
Right, and that's why, you know, the money that's sitting in capital improvement with the commissioner's budget may be needed to offset some wages at the end of the year for some departments because they didn't plan for that.
So what I'm hearing then, just part of the discussion is we're short on funds. We know we need a little help. We just got to figure out how to pay for it. We can move money around at the end if we need to, but right now we have room in our commissioner's budget to go ahead and do this. And see if we can get all the department heads on board. And I mean, and it is possible that he could come in here and really do a great job. And maybe we do have some departments with extra capital improvement funds that they might contribute if they so choose.
And he may have some recommendations. We're going on, okay, let's do this. It's gonna save us here to offset the cost here. And those are the things he's gonna look out. I mean, that's the things he should be doing. He's gonna try to find out how we can save money and the best use of our money and how to and actually plan long term. You know, that's part of his strategy too, is to look at us for planning, not for just 1 year's budget, but 3 to 5 years down the road.
That's what, one thing I opposed to the landfill was they didn't have a plan. We need to, I agree with you, there needs to be plans ahead of time. And I think Mr. Lloyd will do that.
As I read the commissioner's handbook from the KAC, it said our most important duty as a board is budgeting for the county because it sets direction and it sets policy and it's plans for the future. So budgeting is an area where I am, I guess, the most uncomfortable because it's the newest thing to me and I don't want to shift any of the burden off of me to somebody else, but I could certainly use the help. And I think just asking around and looking at budgets and talking to different departments, granted, not all of them, I haven't spoken with all of them. I think we could all use some help. So we've talked about the Lloyd group. I hope everyone here has had a chance to talk to him, to, email back and forth, if that's what you kind of find out and build a comfort level. I think.
Well, that's why, 'cause I talked to him many times last year. Every time I think I figured the budget out, then something comes up and I can't do that. It's like every time, it's not like at home, it's not like their budget at home.
Sure.
It's a whole different animal. We can't use, some money is, covered by mill levies. And some is not, I mean, so it's, certain things you can touch, certain things you can't touch.
Sure. So in my understanding, he won't be responsible for coming up with the budget, but he will be there as education and to help with some of the process and to help guide us.
And he'll meet with everybody and he'll be here to receive our budgets, go over to go through. And he's gonna look back at our last 7 years, where we were, how we're doing, how things, what our trends are.
Well, after this, is there any more discussion? Is there a motion?
I would motion to hire the Lloyd group for budget purposes for this next year.
And how will we?
They would take it out of the commissioner's budget.
Okay, there's a motion to pay for the Lloyd Group services for this year and payment out of the commissioner's budget. Is there a second?
So no problem, we'll take it all out of the commission's budget, but I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to do that and to pay for Mr. Lloyd's out of the commissioner's budget. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all opposed, same sign. All right, motion carried. So that's great. I think this will turn out well. As far as contacting or communicating with him, is that?
I know it's sent one for a previous one, but they didn't.
Yeah, I actually kept the paperwork. And I guess in the meeting I'll have it too. Okay, is there anything else that needs to come before the board? Any, Mr. Pollock or Mr. Limpool, or anything you'd like to discuss or bring up for a future meeting?
We're gonna have a work session afterwards, or
I believe so. So we'll have our trial work session, and we got some guidelines there in our board packet here about that, so we can see what we can do, and I'm excited about that. I think we can talk about some stuff that well, I did. I saw him email. Yeah, that's right.
was it an email?
It's an email. Thank you. Work session procedure. We do have, in the future, we have that wind, or the comprehensive planning regulation involving wind. Was that 20 calendar days or 20 working?
Everybody's stuff in those, except for very not having the election, stuff they're all putting at the post office. So you say, or.
Okay.
Right, there's the other. You see if someone can pick it up, we can spread that in a day. Period, and let, the lines right now. And. So they're not gonna have anything. If they're not for Wednesday, unless you guys have something for them to.
So some of them are sitting in a post office, and if I understand, the clock doesn't start until they receive. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that's one report, so. That's how we did it, so I can.
That would all incorporate.
Okay. All right. Well, some sitting in the post office. We just need people to get there, man. All right. Okay, then that brings something else up that she mentioned, that quickly mentioned. Do we have any other tasks for the comprehensive planning board that we'd like them to?
I think in time, we will find out that maybe we set some regulations for large solar farms.
Right.
You know, if you convention of this, I think I visited one meeting up at the last one, 2.4, gentlemen, I can't remember the county in South Kansas City, but they said they would get what they did, for their decommissioning and, plan, or kind of like what we're doing for windmills, just that we can't come in and walk thousands and thousands of acres that are gonna be destroyed around, and just so we have some control, not opposed to solar farms, but they're massive too. But they actually have come in, they haven't removed the top good soil and it is piled up and covered up. So if they ever take them down, the topsoil can go back onto the farm ground. So it doesn't ruin your topsoil. So there's a lot of things to think about in agriculture, but I think it's just something that we need to be aware of at least.
Good.
Maybe I can get the information from that county and say, guys, just look at this and see if this is anything.
So what county was that? Was it Franklin?
The secretary.
Well,
I can't remember.
Mr. Burnsmith said something about Ottawa. And I didn't know if he was talking about Ottawa County or Ottawa City. But the city of Ottawa is in Franklin County. Right?
It's strange how they did that.
Right.
Okay, just while we're waiting, I spoke with the commissioner from Jackson County, and they are addressing solar. They're looking at it from the stance of regulating the total acres in the county. That's the way.
Lynn County.
Okay.
Yes, South Tennessee.
Okay.
So the planning commission really doesn't have a function unless we give them a reason. I guess a purpose unless we give them a reason. Would it be all right to go ahead and have them start looking into solar?
We get out and just, once you start looking into solar, what you think it is and what would be the pros and cons to it in our opinion.
Okay.
And I'll call and see if I can get the information from Lynn County. Their plan, just so we have something to look at.
All right, so as a board of commissioners, then do we need to make a motion to go ahead and have the comprehensive planning committee look into solar?
So we need to qualify that as commercials. So we're gonna something.
And as it relates to the comprehensive planning, the survey,
Whether we're in touch, just a consensus way we want them to investigate it, we don't want to launch like we did with the windmill, but we want them to look into it and see what they do. If they feel the pros and cons to it for, because that wasn't really on our survey that we did. I don't believe.
it's in the,
Is it in there?
it's in there, yeah, the results are in there. Yeah, I was spending a lot, but it is in there, it's not as striking as wind turbines, but it is a topic.
If they don't think it's more, it's newer, it's just really big momentum, but.
Okay, so is it the consensus of the board then go ahead and have the comprehensive planning committee look? What do you think? Yeah.
I don't want to scare people that have small solar panels and stuff.
I think it's,
Okay.
it's like commercial wind, just like we do with the wind,
Right.
we're talking about commercial.
Right. So,
Industrial, so.
right.
All right.
I mean, I can find
I'm not against the homeowner that has it on their property for their farm and all that, I mean, it's just. I think there's thousands of acres that one they need to look into it and see what the pros and cons are to it.
I agree with that.
Okay, so as far as communicating with that committee, okay,
About industrial,
Farm.
and would you tell him also that, we would welcome him to come to the meeting as that representative, as the chairman of that committee, and, just keep us up to date, and maybe they saw something in the comprehensive plan too that they think needs to be addressed, that we should go ahead and plan for.
So you mentioned the solar at one time. On this
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. Now they have a job. Is there anything else?
Oh,
Get my email to open up for that voter poll on that.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
there you go. Somebody, do you want to see it?
mine doesn't seem to work either, so what's the deal?
Well. It's one time I'm ahead of you on it.
It's right here, just hold down the.
So I'd like to discuss, I'm trying to get job descriptions. I'd like to tackle maybe our commission. And for instance, the county chair today, you know, or the commission chair. Like when the blizzard came and you had to shut the courthouse down, you know, that was a kind of a verbal tradition. But as far as I can tell, there's nothing in a handbook anywhere that let the new person know that, you know, I'd like to work on that. Hey, you know, what can we do? And I think we'll also look at our room layout. And discuss with Donnie, our tech guru, what we can and can't do to maybe make this meeting room flow a little better, hopefully. For people to come in.
Did we find out on this? You have to be present, yeah. Okay. Or your deputy. Yeah.
All right, yeah.
One job. I know that work session can either be lengthy or not lengthy, is there any desire for, you know, topics, you know, we're gonna put, I'm gonna say, well, we're not, we don't wanna go past a 2 hour, 1 hour work session. I mean, I'm just asking that.
No, it's fine.
Let's get into the first one and see what things are like once, and then we can come out after that. And, you know, the couple things that you're talking about there. And I think that we. Yeah. half hour to-
Let's try for a half hour today, and we'll just start the clock. When our meeting's adjourned, we'll take a 5-minute break and then just start our work session, plan on it. See what happens. Sound good?
I say no. I don't think we need to strain this, with no action taken if somebody.
Just a discussion. So when I visit with other people at different counties about this, if they live stream the regular meeting, they actually don't do it. But everyone's welcome to stay, media's welcome to stay, everybody's welcome to come in, the door stays open. The technology goes. But you'll have to stay because we're gonna talk about it. Yeah. So, is there anything else come before the board here? No? Okay, well, I guess we'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Do we adjourn or do we recess the work session?
We adjourn the business part of the meeting, right, and then we move to the work session.
I say motion to adjourn and move into the work session in 5 minutes later.
Okay.
You need 5 or 10? Let's just do 5 minutes, so if we're gonna do a cup of coffee or anything like that.
Okay, it's been moved to adjourn and have a 5-minute break, then go to the work session.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. It's adjourned. Come back at 9:34.